I'm with the Browning family. I don't know if you can hear this, but this little noise meter tells me that there are unhealthy levels of noise. Something strange is happening in this small town 70 miles outside of Dallas, Texas. An invisible force is creeping through the community, ruining residents' lives.
They just moved in on top of us. I have a constant headache right in the back of my head or either over my eyes. I've been in the hospital 2 or 3 times.
Every family here is sick.
Somebody has to die to get somebody's attention.
I see the impact on their lives. There's just nothing I can do.
The cause is just a few hundred feet from the house owned by the Brownings, a massive Bitcoin mine. I'm in Granbury, Texas, the site of a Bitcoin mining facility operated by Marathon Digital Holdings. Hundreds of metal boxes contain tens of thousands of computers running 24 hours a day, consuming around 300 megawatts of electricity needed to mine for Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency. That's comparable to that of a city the size of Austin, with nearly 500,000 households. Bitcoin mines like this are part of an industry projected to reach $2.25 billion in size in 2025. And much of the industry is located here in Texas, where cheap energy, lax rules and regulations, and politicians at the state and federal level who are all in on crypto.
Unleash crypto. Come to Texas. Texas is the oasis.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott appears to be pushing for our state to become more involved with cryptocurrency, saying, quote, Texas is already the home of crypto mining. This session, Texas should become the crypto capital, end quote.
We are promoting it, we are advancing it, and we want to create a framework that will allow all of that to excel here.
We came to Texas to find out what happens when a state becomes the center of the Bitcoin universe. Who's winning and who's losing? What's the true cost of cryptocurrency and who should be paying for it?
Well, I went to the window and I listened and I thought, man, this is going to be a rough night, and it was. So it'd be a long day for me.
You'd have to take a nap after a while.
We don't have time for a nap, not today. I do need that coffee.
Nick and Virginia Browning have called Granbury home for 35 years. They're now in their 80s and hope to be enjoying their golden years in this rural community an hour and a half southwest of Dallas.
When we first moved out here, it was real quiet still. We had all kind of animals out here, and we loved it out here.
But 3 years ago, Bitcoin mining started to disrupt their peace, and they say it's been hell ever since.
This is maddening. This is maddening to me, and I just want to scream at somebody. Now I have to worry about vertigo. I also have to worry about my brain not working right.
It never goes away. Headaches never go away.
In Texas, the legal limit for noise is 85 decibels. Researchers have found that prolonged exposure can impact hearing and cardiovascular health, increase blood pressure and heart rate. Other potential risks include headaches, dizziness, and psychological effects.
85 decibels is considered industrial noise inside of a plant. That would mean that you would have to wear hearing protection all the time at your home.
Many of their neighbors have been affected too. The Brownings told us to go see their neighbor, Tom Weeks, who lives just down the road from them. So we did.
Last year, July 2nd, I had a pulmonary embolism and almost died. This is a video that I took one morning. I woke up, I was awakened by the sound.
Wow.
You know, that's our bedroom at, 2 o'clock in the morning.
The idea that these billion-dollar companies that are profiting off of the backs of poor working people.
Yes.
Is that?
It's disgusting. It's cowardly. It's disgusting. There's a certain amount of cruelty to that.
It's a different type of noise pollution. It's not like truck traffic or anything like this. It's a special noise. It's a low frequency noise that is coming from these operations, and it is incessant.
Come on.
Cheryl Shadden has lived in Granbury for almost 30 years.
Come on, let's all go.
And has been leading her community's effort to organize and fight Bitcoin mining.
As we're talking, you can hear quite a loud constant noise all around us.
24/7.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how loud is it right now?
This is about an 8.
So it gets worse than this.
It gets worse than this.
Remember the legal limit for noise is 85 decibels? And Cheryl showed us readings in her house into the hundreds.
This is inside of my house.
She and her neighbors who have serious health conditions say they and their doctors believe it's tied to the Bitcoin operation.
2 of my horses are having a hard time keeping weight on. When the noise is really bad across the street, they're anxious and disturbed and fretful and worried, so it affects them as well. One horse died year before last. I'll never know why. She's been here her entire life and never had any illness or any problems.
The mine in Granbury is owned by Marathon Digital, a Florida-based firm traded on the stock exchange. It's valued at more than $6 billion, with profits rising more than 13% this year alone. In 2022, Marathon leased space for their Bitcoin mine from Constellation Energy, which operates a gas and steam-fired power plant called Wolf Hollow 2 on the same site.
We're sitting in front of the crypto mine looking at all of their miners. If you notice, this is the newer wall that got put in by Marathon Digital that's supposed to be sound suppressive, which it's not. You can see a big gap in it right here where there's power lines that run through. So it's not a continuous wall, and it certainly doesn't keep the noise in.
But let's back up for a second. What the hell is Bitcoin mining anyway? Regular currency like the US dollar relies on a centralized bank which controls its supply. But Bitcoin is not a centralized currency. It depends on independent actors known as miners, which are simply computers that carry out complicated math problems to verify Bitcoin transactions and list them on a public ledger known as a blockchain. As a reward for their work, miners earn units of Bitcoin for crunching the numbers. The value of a Bitcoin stands at around $117,000, and the reward for mining decreases over time as the number of Bitcoin in circulation increases, making mining a lucrative business. It's made the corporations that own the mining facilities very rich. Marathon Digital and Riot Platforms are 2 of the biggest whales. A team from Cambridge University estimates Bitcoin uses about 187.9 terawatt hours of electricity per year. That's more than the entire country of Egypt.
Texas is one of the least regulated states in terms of environmental protections or energy protections for communities.
That's Mandy DeRoche, an attorney with Earth Justice, a legal nonprofit that's representing the residents of Granbury and other communities around the country in litigation against Bitcoin mining operations. Bitcoin mining has other harms too, driving up energy costs for consumers, impacting communities' water supply, and pouring so much crypto money into politics that residents feel like no one is looking out for their interests. To explore all this, we traveled across the state to meet with people who are experiencing the impacts firsthand. First, there's the energy costs. Texas is projected to experience a surge in energy demand, potentially doubling by 2030. Driven largely by crypto mining and data center technologies.
They're just huge industrial complexes because as you've needed more and more powerful machines, you've needed more capital, you've needed more land, you've needed more access to energy, and only really well-capitalized corporations can do that.
Every $100 million that a company extracts from the energy market is paid by me and all the other Texans. This is an earnings report that was filed with the IRS. And what this tells us is that this one facility resold energy during Winter Storm Uri. So they held on to the electricity that they had. They sold it at a profit during a crisis, right? That's price gouging. In another context, that would be illegal. And instead you have a company that's bragging about the money that it made while people were dying in their homes.
They pay significantly less for their electricity than everyday Texans.
The places we visited across Texas have a few things in common. They're rural, and they've experienced a loss of industries, like the town of Rockdale, which once employed thousands of people at an aluminum smelting plant, which permanently closed in 2017. A year later, the town welcomed Bitcoin investors with open arms, with large-scale Bitcoin operations in place by 2020. We met up with Jim Gibson, Rockdale's Economic Development Director.
There is a lot of demand on the energy grid.
Yes.
The price that residents are paying for their energy is going up. Does that resonate with you?
At a personal level, well, there's like two parts. Please don't print this part. Is that okay?
I mean, we'd love to have your honest take. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, that's the one part about it all that I really personally don't care for. So that's just my opinion. That's not the opinion of the city or anybody else.
The next big harm we heard from residents about was the water usage.
They're manipulating our electricity.
And taking water.
And taking water.
Teresa lives 18 miles from Corsicana, Texas, where Riot Platforms is building out what is expected to be one of the largest Bitcoin mining operations in the world.
We decided, well, what better place to build a 1 gigawatt site?
Teresa is concerned about Bitcoin's demand for water. Corsicana's mine is projected to use up to 1.5 million gallons of water per day. That's an eighth of the city's water supply. She took us to nearby Navarro Lake, which she says dries up every 4 to 5 years.
So this is the lake that you are concerned that the Bitcoin mining companies could be drawing water from?
Yes, you've got a lot of people that have moved into this area. Last thing we needed was more pressure on this lake. I know I can survive without electricity. I do know that. I can't survive without water. Our politicians keep going with the corporations, even knowing that they're not being honest. They don't care about us. They want that money.
These ginormous conglomerate corporations are having real impacts. They consume vast quantities of water, especially in Texas.
Not far from Teresa, we met Dawn Horn, a disabled Navy veteran who lives less than 10 minutes drive from the Riot mine in Corsicana.
The water, it does not smell good. It smells like chlorine now. I've replaced a washing machine and a water heater in the past year. It's not good for me because I have to pay higher electric bills and higher water bills, and I'm on a fixed income as a disabled veteran. It's not good for anyone who lives on a fixed income because it's increasing the price for, all of our power and all of our water and everything.
We reached out to the companies asking for an interview and tour of their facilities, but they declined.
Our clients in Granbury, they've got a tremendous amount of noise pollution that is harming their health, that is impacting their livelihoods. They can't sleep. There's increased fossil fuel generation in their community. There's air pollution, there's water pollution. So it's really the impacted communities that bear the brunt of this industry with really none of the benefits.
These high costs that consumers are paying made us wonder, who's benefiting from Bitcoin mining operations other than the companies themselves?
I think it's important to remember that a Bitcoin mine is generating a virtual product. Nobody's seeing any actual tangible product. There's nothing coming out of that facility.
Adrian Shelley is the director of Public Citizens Texas office, a consumer advocacy public interest organization.
Advocates of Bitcoin mining will say it's good for communities, it's good for jobs, it stabilizes the electricity grid, it can promote a greener energy economy. It seems like two different narratives. Where's the truth?
Yeah, it's fantasy. They're overselling their product. I think some of them have bought into the hype. Some of them are intentionally misrepresenting what's going on.
All of this makes it even more damning that the politicians representing the residents we spoke to are all in on Bitcoin, which brings us to the crypto money in politics. Texas Senator Ted Cruz received a $350,000 donation from Bitcoin Freedom PAC in 2024 in a tight re-election race against Democratic challenger Colin Allred. The same year, Cruz announced he was getting into the Bitcoin business himself, announcing on X he bought his own miners and started running them in Iran, Texas. Cruz was commended by Marathon Digital's CEO and welcomed to the club. The Texas governor recently signed a bill.
So I just signed a law creating a master plan,
creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve that could use millions of taxpayer dollars to purchase cryptocurrency, President Trump once called Bitcoin a scam.
Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam. I don't like it because it's another currency competing against the dollar.
But then big donations came into his campaign coffers, and he changed his tune.
If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's not going to be made anywhere else.
National blockchain lobbyists and his family got in on it too.
The answer is crypto, and I think that's going to be the future of finance. If we can accelerate that process by going all in on it, I'm for it.
According to Public Citizen, crypto corporations provided nearly half of the $248 million in corporate money to influence federal elections in 2024. And the industry has gotten exactly what they paid for. Efforts to regulate crypto at the state and federal level have been largely unsuccessful.
2 years ago in the 2023 legislature, we had a piece of legislation that specifically regulated cryptocurrency mining. It limited their participation in the demand response program. It prevented them from getting local tax breaks, and it required them to register with ERCOT. It didn't even get refiled this session. For a bill that passed the Senate to not even be refiled this session, that says to me that lawmakers' minds have been changed by something about whether this is an industry that needs to be gotten control of or not.
We reached out to the senator who sponsored the bill, Lois Kolkhorst, but she declined to be interviewed. Cheryl Shadden has lived in Granbury, Texas for almost 30 years and has been taking daily readings of the noise levels. She works as a nurse anesthetist and says she hasn't gotten a good night's sleep since 2022, and her backyard looks directly onto the giant facility.
What do you say to some people watching this who would say, I couldn't live there? Why don't these people just move?
My house is paid for. My house and property are paid for. Who would buy this place? You have to disclose. My property value has gone down 75%, and that's according to Hood County Appraisal District. The reality is my property value is worthless.
Hood County Commissioner for Precinct 2, Nanette Samuelson, has been working with Cheryl and other residents to incorporate their community into its own municipality so they can create a noise ordinance since they're currently in an unincorporated part of Granbury.
So they can zone things different, residential or commercial. They can put in noise restrictions. There's just a lot of different options available for municipalities than there is for unincorporated county.
And so what has it been like for you as a lawmaker trying to help your people, but not being able to?
It's very frustrating because I see the impact on their lives. Sorry. And there's just nothing I can do.
It's the Wild West out there. Our systems take a while to catch up to these problems. And so it doesn't have the equivalent regulations that protect health and protect communities, like the oil and gas industry or power plants or other sectors that have been around for decades or hundreds of years.
Hood County is a rural, mostly Republican place with a population of 65,000 people. President Trump got more than 80% of the vote here in 2024.
And what about President Trump? His family is in the crypto business, profiting off of this. What do you make of that?
I have nothing against President Trump because I think his intentions are good, but I don't like the crypto thing. The way he's going about it is not pleasant for all of us.
Did you vote for President Trump?
Yeah, we did, but
How do you feel about that?
they are literally killing people out here. No, I don't like it at all.
I wish I could have a good talk to him. I wish he'd come over and pay me a visit.
Do you regret your vote for President Trump?
Concerning Bitcoin, yes. I don't have a problem with the industry, but I have a problem with what it's doing to people here. I think that's being ignored.
Did you vote for Governor Abbott?
Yes, I did. But I won't do it again. State politicians, all they see is dollar signs. They don't see people. You're just going to get to a point where I guess somebody has to die to get somebody's attention.
Not everyone here blames politicians, though. Larry Potts and his wife voted for President Trump, and despite being in extremely poor health, Larry had a heart attack and a stroke, they say they aren't against Bitcoin entirely, and don't blame President Trump for Granbury's problems, but they do blame the companies.
This chart shows that they're all, even at the highest level of government,
from the president on down, they're all connected to these corporations and money tied to Bitcoin.
I have no problem whatsoever with these guys investing in Bitcoin. None. No more than I have any problem with you investing in your investments. But here's what I have a problem with, is with them being concerned about whoever these people are, make sure they're abiding by the rights of the people they're around.
After traveling across the state, it's clear that there's a tension between the politicians and the big corporations who are benefiting from Bitcoin mining and the people who have to live next door to these facilities who are feeling the impact. The takeaway, though, is that the residents here aren't stopping their fight until they get peace and quiet and justice for their community. Before you go, please support our work by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. We're always looking to tell more stories like this one, unpacking economic systems that impact all of our daily lives. Are there other issues that you want to see us cover? Sound off in the comments, and again, don't forget to like and subscribe.